Hello, everyone. This is the Parks Academy, where we discuss and celebrate all things theme parks related. We focus mainly on Disney parks and resorts in both Anaheim and Orlando. My name is Paige,
My name is Steven.
and today we will be doing an episode about experiences that we want to do in Disney that we are not willing to pay for.
Yeah, we have had many days where we've talked about things that we want to do so bad, and then we look at our blessed bank account and are like, there's no way that we
Just
can do this.
not going to happen.
And also, like, how did the people that do it do it? Some of these things are like so expensive.
Maybe
So-
they've won the lottery. Maybe they have a paid off house.
Or maybe they have a lot of credit card debt.
Or maybe they just are like, what's debt? Let's do it.
Be smart with your money, kids. Okay, so let's go ahead and kick it off with the first thing that we would love to do that we are not willing to spend the money on, and that's going to be those VIP Disney tours.
Yeah, these suckers will put you out a pretty penny. On Disney's website, you can actually look at the information about these. You have the Disney private VIP tours you can look at, and these are for up to 10 guests. You get to go into the theme parks, but this does not include the price of park admission, which you are required to also pay for park admission. And so the price ranges from $425 to $850 per hour, depending on the season.
That's like highway robbery, man.
And on top of that, add in your park admission for each park that you visit on tour. That's not included in the price of the tour.
Yeah, so I have one of the tours on here, and it costs $12,000 for 6 guests. It's a 12-hour tour, so you're looking at like, I mean, when you break it all down for 6 guests, like that's like a couple $100 per hour, but still, I mean, $12,000 is a lot of money, right?
That's a lot of money.
And so you get this 12-hour tour that includes exclusive backstage access to the parks. You get private transportation, front of line priority, to all the parks attractions. You get meals, beverages, and then a tour of Cinderella's castle suite. $12,000 for a tour of the suite.
Wow.
For $12,000, I'm hoping those birds fly in the window and do my laundry. Like, seriously, that's so much money.
I'm hoping some mice sew me a dress or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's that's baffling to me because I would love to do a backstage tour of Disney. I would rather do like a history tour. I don't know if they provide those or not,
Yeah, I'm not
but
sure.
like $12,000 is a wild amount of money.
It's a lot of money to throw
pay
at
for that.
one day in Disney, considering the cost of a Disney trip can range anywhere from like $3,000 for a couple or a small family to, however much you spend. And so if you're blowing $12,000 in one day on a tour, I can't imagine what the total cost of your trip is, because that also does not include lodging.
Right. But I mean, they are generous with 3 meals for the entire day though.
But that's only one day of your trip.
And then the funny thing about it is on the website, it says all meals included, 3 a day with select, in quotes, alcohol. I do not know what in quotes alcohol means. It's probably like a watered down gin and tonics or something terrible like that. Yeah, that's wild to me. Yeah, I mean, that's just like, that's crazy. But you do get a deal, because if you decide to do that more than one time on your trip, they drop down your second tour at $10,000.
Oh, how sweet.
So that's a bargain,
There
right?
you go. Only
Yeah.
10 grand.
Would you do that?
No, I would not flip for that.
No.
That's too much.
Same.
Too much.
Okay, so you wanted to, I guess you'd like to if it's on the list, Disney weddings?
Okay, if we could go back in time, we have been married now for 6 years. If we could go back in time and do it all over again, Mom and Dad, would you flip for a little bit more money for us to do a Disney wedding is the question.
I wouldn't want to have a Disney wedding.
But these weddings can be so magical. There's specials out there where you can watch people's Disney weddings. These are incredible. And if you've ever wanted to know what these look like, Go onto Disney's website and go to disneyweddings.com to look at these. There's weddings, honeymoons, vow renewals. So if we could go back in time and maybe look at one of these situations, or maybe do a vow renewal, that'd be fun. For like 10 years or 25 years, or we could be one of those couples that's like, this is our 50th or 60th or
This is our 75th wedding anniversary.
75th anniversary, and we're going to do that in Disney World.
Yeah, when Mickey Mouse is a cyborg.
Yeah. But there's so many options. You can, if you look at the list of venues, even just in Florida, you can get married in practically any pavilion in Epcot, overlooking the lake there in the middle, with theming to any country that you want it to be. There's indoor weddings, outdoor weddings, but the one that I would want to do would be in Animal Kingdom, in front of the Tree of Life at night. And this setup requires a minimum cost of $15,000 to $25,000. The venue cost itself, just to get married in front of the Tree of Life, is $7,500. So, like, you're talking a lot of money out for this very small wedding. I'm assuming you're not inviting a ton of people to this, but Disney does it up for weddings. So I would not fork out this kind of money. But in another life, or if my parents win the lottery, I'm not willing to pay for this myself. Too much money.
Yeah, there's no way that's happening.
But they're so beautiful. They're so gorgeous. I had a friend who was on my soccer team growing up, and I know that she got married in Disney. It was towards like the middle of COVID, when weddings were like sort of starting to be able to happen again. And so I don't know if they had to push things off, but she did end up getting married in Disney, and the pictures were beautiful that I saw.
That's just, yeah, I mean, that's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
And call me romantic, but I wouldn't want to do that.
Well,
no, I would love to renew my vows with you. I would marry you all
sweet.
over again any day of the week. But I
not for $25,000.
Yeah, I'd rather do that $12,000 tour with some of our close friends and family, and then just peel off for a second, be like, hey, you willing to do this all over again? You're like, yeah. And I'm like, all right, vows renewed. High five. Let's go cut in front of everyone for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah. It's nice though. It's nice. Okay. So this next one, I've been wanting to do since I first heard about it, and myself, like a lot of other people, who are not influencers, quote, and who don't get to do stuff for free just because we're special. The Galactic Star Cruiser. Listen,
Here we go.
I'm going to spend like an hour complaining. I really, really, really want to get on the Halcyon. But I almost fell out of my chair when I saw that it was $1,200 per person per night.
Yeah.
We're looking at $5,000
for like
to stay at this
a long weekend.
Let's be honest, it's 2 days, but probably more like a day and 3/4.
Right, to be trapped somewhere.
And I just
and to have to play a part.
Now, you can get the cost down if you stay with 4 people. It's like $740 per person per night. So if
but do we want to stay with another couple?
Well, I was going to say if I went alone. If I went by myself and I only paid like $1,400 for me to do that, I would consider it. But even so, like, that's still kind of like, oof.
Yeah.
1,400 bones for that. So, I mean, I could go on and on and on about how I think that this is, I mean, in my opinion, I think it's really unfair because there's a lot of people that want to do it, but they just simply cannot afford to do it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, everything on this list, if we wanted to, we could come up with a way to afford, well, except for some of the things, but the things that are like kind of more reasonable, if we wanted to, we could make a way to afford it.
You put it on the credit card.
But I actually tried to put this in the comments on Disney's Instagram page, but they said that I couldn't talk that way, so I'll censor it. I'd feel like such a dumb person if I spent $5,000 to stay in the Halcyon for 2 nights. Like, I would get off of there and be like, what did I do?
Yeah.
Like, what the heck?
I know.
So yeah, I mean, this is not a Galactic Star Cruiser episode, but it's like I really, really, really want to do that, but I cannot even bring myself to think about spending $5,000.
Well, and we've talked about it in terms of, for to put it in perspective for me, because Steven is the Star Wars person in this relationship. So even $700 per person per night for me still seems like, why in the world would I do that with my time?
Yeah,
To put it in perspective, Steven was like, what if it was a Harry Potter experience in Hogwarts where it was immersive, the whole thing? And I still don't think I would spend that much money to do that.
yeah.
Even with how much I love Harry Potter.
I would spend that much money to do that for Harry Potter because I could be a Slytherin and screw everything up for everyone.
And that is my husband,
There you
ladies and
go.
gentlemen.
Yeah. Um,
I am a Gryffindor and I'm married a Slytherin. So
yeah, I would just screw everything up and be like, I don't know. Sorry, guys. Wit, charm, and deceit, I guess. But yeah, it's a shame that it's so expensive. And yeah, I mean, on and on and on. I think it's a money grab. I'm really disappointed that it's so expensive because I would love to do it. But I just, gosh.
I think the hardest thing for me about it is it's not practical for the average family.
No,
And
not at all.
even for people that can afford to do it, how many times do people really want to go and experience this? Like, is it going to be different every time? Is it the same storyline? Do you have the same missions? Is it, like, is this
Yeah.
are you getting repeat customers? Because if not, how is average Joe gonna afford to take his kids and do this? You know what I
Yeah, when
mean?
it first opened up, um, we saw. I didn't really care if I got spoiled because I wasn't gonna go on it anytime soon, if ever. But I was watching all these YouTubers on it, and they all have. I mean, they all had their cameras out doing their thing, and they're like, "This is so cool," and we're crying, and I'm like, "You guys got him for free, like all of you." Um, and I'm not trying to be bitter, but I was just bummed. It just felt like a bummer to me. And a lot of these things for me feel kind of like a bummer. But
Right.
this one especially just felt like a massive, massive bummer.
And we're not hating on the people that do these experiences or that get to, test
Oh
them out for
no.
the rest of us. It's just these are things for us that we're not willing to fork out the money for, even regardless of how cool the experience is.
Yeah, because if I got a letter from Bob Chapek saying you're invited to board the Halcyon, I'd be like, yes, please, and I would
Right.
go in a heartbeut.
Right.
And I would also vlog and be like, hey guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. This is my channel, and I'm on the Halcyon with all the good Star Wars people. But alas, I'm not willing to fork out $5,000 for the two of us to do that,
Right.
and I'm not willing to share a room with 3 other people.
There you go.
Okay, I would love to, but I'm not willing to fork out the money for it, and I'll explain why in a moment. I would love to do some high quality dining in Disney, especially at Victoria and Albert's. So for those of you who are not as familiar, Victoria and Albert's is $250 a person, plus an additional $150 for wine pairings. It's a 3-hour multi-course service, and it looks phenomenal. I've heard great things about it, and I'm gonna put on. I'm a little bit bashful about this because I'm gonna put on a small little snob hat for a quick second. So bear with me. I grew up around a lot of like Michelin star amazing restaurants, and some of them I've been fortunate enough to like experience. Some not, just because I don't want to also fork out the money. uh, but I would love to go to Victoria and Albert's. I think it's amazing, but for what it is, and the fact that I don't even think they even have one Michelin star, the prices that they're charging for this kind of thing is pretty exorbitant. And as much as I'd like to try it out, and as cool and as fancy as it sounds, again, I think I'd feel bad after I ate there because I don't know if it's going to be the best meal I've ever had. And I would rather eat at certain amazing restaurants in like New York City or where I grew up in Napa or, Vegas or something like that, where you have these incredible, outstanding restaurants. So I think that something like Victoria and Albert's for me would probably end up being a small pass. What do you think?
Well, Steven has his snob hat and I have my I don't care for fancy experiences hat. Not that I don't like going to a nice dinner, not that I don't like dressing up and going somewhere nice, but I always say to Steven, I would so much rather go to like a pub or get some bar food than to go somewhere fancy. And Victoria and Albert's has a dress code where like you'd have to wear a suit jacket and I would have to wear like a dress or a blouse and slacks. I would
That's not
rather,
it, huh?
I would rather go eat some pulled pork mac and cheese at the 8 Spoon Cafe than spend all of this money and dress up and have caviar and quail and wild boar and Japanese beef. Like, these are things I would not ever eat because to me, fancy food is much less appealing than cheap bar food.
I would so much rather. I would rather eat at a place that has a great experience from the food perspective, where I would rather have a small amount of food that was immaculate than a huge plate of food that was subpar. We've talked about this, but
And I would rather go get unlimited rolls and honey butter and massively
are you talking
heart attack.
Are you talking Texas Roadhouse right now?
I sure am.
Dog. Okay, so mine and Paige's very first date. I thought that
He thought all girls liked fancy restaurants.
yeah, I thought that all girls liked white tablecloths, wine and dine, the whole thing. So I took her to this place. I got duck confit. I got a nice glass of Cabernet to go with it. Of course, I asked the waiter what pairs nicely. And she's like, sliders, please.
On the appetizer
from
menu.
the appetizer menu. And
that was my meal.
I actually felt bad because I thought, oh no, she doesn't like this or me at all. But now we have a kid together and we're making a show together and we have a 30-year mortgage together. So I think it all turned out fine.
I think it all worked out just fine. But he learned that I was a cheap date real quick.
The point of it is I would not, as much as I would love to try Victoria and Albert's because of how much people kind of rant about it, rave about it. I don't want to, and maybe this is just me being a totally stuck up. I don't want to spend that much money at a Disney restaurant because I'm not convinced in my heart that it's going to be that good for where you are. And also, I do not want to be a Florida sweaty mess enjoying a multi-course dinner.
Yeah, I don't think you could ever get me to do this, but you probably could not get me to go to any Michelin star restaurants with you either because it'd be a waste of money for you to take me. I would want you to take like your dad or someone that would enjoy doing this experience with
like the
you.
Halcyon.
Right. Like take someone who would appreciate it.
Yeah. The final thing I'm going to say about it, because again, I'm sure it's incredible and I would like to do it. I'm just not willing to fork out the money. I would feel like I would have to take off my magic band when I'm there because I would feel like such an idiot wearing a magic band in a suit jacket, being like, yes, how's your Wagyu? And I'll take your caviar tonight, please and thank you. Does it come with a pearl spoon? I'm sure it does. Compliments to the chef. Also, which wine pairing is best with this? I'll take the,
And here's my
whatever.
plastic Mickey bracelet.
Yeah, and here's my, and I'll be paying for it on my bright orange magic band, please and thank you. Jonathan from Orlando, Florida. Because I know you're wearing a cast member name tag.
Perfect.
Pass. Okay. Club 33.
Club
this is the
33.
next one.
Okay.
Now, this sounds so cool. But $50,000 cool? No way.
And so if you're not familiar with Club 33, Club 33 is an exclusive membership through Disney. There's Club 33 locations in Disneyland, Tokyo Disneyland, Shanghai Disneyland, a lounge in each of the 4 theme parks in Walt Disney World, and then a lounge in Disney's California Adventure. So you get access to a membership-only lounge in any of these places, but the cost to be in this club is $33,000 upfront just to join, And then there is an annual fee of $15,000. So that's where Steven got the $50,000 from. I don't know how many people have this membership or what this looks like, but holy Toledo, do we not ever see ourselves being a part of this club or getting to enter this club unless one of our friends has access and is like, hey guys, why don't you join us?
Yeah, one of these days, I'm convinced that I'm gonna wake up one morning and have a formal letter in the mail saying that an aunt I never knew about died and I have $5 million. In which case I'll join. But until then, not wishing any death on any, estranged aunts. But yeah, I can't. There's no way I could justify that. Do you know what we could do in Disney with $50,000?
A whole lot we could do.
A whole lot.
Some of these other things on the list. Probably all the other things on the list.
I could go to Victoria and Albert's, take one bite of their Wagyu beef and spat it on the floor and say, oh, tough, tough, tough. And still come out ahead by like 49 grand. So.
Yeah, heavens to Betsy.
Yeah, it seems, I remember being a kid. I've always sort of been interested in being a part of things that aren't for me. And this is almost certainly not for me. I remember as a kid being in Pirates of the Caribbean, like in line for it in Disneyland and seeing the Club 33 entrance kind of right above it, up some stairs. I mean, it's crazy. It looks cool, but for that price, man, I don't know. I certainly don't make that kind of money to be able to justify that. Now, if we get our Patreon going, we can review it for you guys and you can know all about it. That's going to be the Parks Academy of Patreon. But I still don't even see that happen anytime soon or ever. If you have the chance to do it, would you? Like, if it was like an opportunity, would you do it? Or
I mean, if someone was like, be my guest to Club 33, I'd be like, sure, absolutely. But if someone was like, here, you don't have to join the wait list, we're just letting you do it if you just put down this money, I'd be like, nope. Because evidently the wait list is like years long, and sometimes they even close down the wait list because there's so many people on it. So even if we wanted to, even if we had just, $50,000 laying around, we probably wouldn't even get to join because it's so exclusive.
Yeah, I'm loving this. I'm looking at their menu online, and you can get a Chemex pour over, which is on their menu for $10 for one Chemex pour over.
You do that like every morning.
I do Chemex pour overs every single morning. So
like 99% of your mornings, you have that.
Yeah, I think that at one point you and I were at Disneyland together. I don't remember if it was the first time we went or the last time, but we were talking to a cast member about, because there's people having dinner up on the balcony at Club 33.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, oh, yeah, they rented it out for the afternoon. It's like $15,000 for the evening for dinner. That's still, I mean, that's just no, I mean, if you have the means, like, go for it. But I mean, more power to you.
There's a lot of famous people that have memberships, I believe. So
I'm not famous.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's one of those things that it's like, even if we did have the money, just, I don't know. That seems like a lot just to have this like elusive experience that no one really gets to do. Except for a small handful of folks that get selected.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to talk a little bit about resorts. This is kind of a subject within a subject within a subject, because we have a couple different things we're going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But we are not deluxe resorts people. The fanciest so far we've gotten is the Grand Destino Tower in Coronado Springs.
Beautiful.
Which amazing.
Beautiful.
But it wasn't as expensive as I thought it was going to be, and I think I got it for a deal.
Well, we got a really good deal on it last year.
And then this time we're staying, where are we staying next time?
The Caribbean Beach.
Yeah, we booked the Caribbean Beach for our October trip. So we're not staying in suites. We're not staying at the Polynesian. We're not staying in Animal Kingdom Lodge, but there are so many resorts we would love to stay in. But again, for the price, we're not willing to fork it out, especially when you can just pop on over and hang out in the lobbies and sort of steal valor in the resorts like you're there.
Right.
So what about, what do you, I know you have some thoughts on this.
Well, yes. So, dream goals. If I could ever stay at any resort, I've said this before, it would be Animal Kingdom Lodge. And this is a deluxe resort, so it's just not even close to in our price range. Now there are deals all the time that Disney runs. Like, I know that they're running a deal right now, where select dates in the summer, if you have Disney Plus, you can get like up to 20% off or something. So be on the lookout for those deals. I don't know which hotels that is. If you have a travel agent, contact them or check Disney's website and kind of mess with things to see what it looks like. But yeah, to stay in Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge for like a week, if you get the Savannah view, which I would not stay in Animal Kingdom Lodge and want a parking lot view. If I'm forking out the money to stay in this deluxe resort, I want the view of the animals. It would be like $700 a night. And so that's putting you at like $5,000 just for your hotel for the week. That's just like way too much money. I'm not willing to pay $5,000 just in hotels. I'm trying to keep our whole trip for under $5,000. And so that doesn't include park admission. That doesn't include food. That doesn't include souvenirs. That does not include anything but just staying the night in the hotel. And that is just way too much for me to even contemplate.
We've talked about it a handful of times. And one of the things we've discussed is that we would be willing to stay in like an Art of Animation Pop Century thing. And then for our final night, stay in a nice room.
Yes, like upgrade for the last night. Do one night.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's expensive. I similarly, like, I would love to stay in the Polynesian, and of course, if I'm going to do that, I don't want to see the parking lot. I would like to see the castle or something, or even like overlook the Contemporary or anything else. Mm. And that's also like starting at like, I think it's like $600 a night for a not a good view. And then I did a little bit of research looking out months ahead, and you can't even find anything available months ahead. That's how in demand it is. But another one that we would both love to stay in, and we're hoping that maybe someday we can, is the Grand Californian Hotel in Disneyland, the one that's directly connected to DCA. Folks, this one starts at $800 a night, and you can get a suite, granted it holds up to 9 adults, for $6,000 a night. Like, I don't know where Disney gets off with these prices.
It's like going on a cruise, but like
that is
for one night.
So expensive.
Yeah, it is.
Even if you're looking at taking that $6,000 and dividing it by 9 adults, that's still $666 a night.
That's just bad. Bad omen.
666 a night.
That's a bad omen.
You better be staying on like Villains Night or something. But yeah, that's still like a lot of money. And so if you're going as a couple, you're still forking out like 1,200 bones a night just to stay there. So would I love to stay there? Like, absolutely. Am I willing to spend that kind of money on it? No.
No, unless I got a super deal on this, or unless we stayed with other people and cut the cost of this. I am not willing to spend the kind of money to stay in the Polynesian or the Animal Kingdom Lodge or the Grand Californian for those kinds of prices.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you have so many hotel rooms that are affordable. But even if I look at like the Disneyland Hotel, it's still like $600 a night for a standard view.
Well, at Disneyland, you're looking at supply and demand. So because there's so few hotels on the Disneyland Resort property, they can get away with having higher prices. Whereas in Walt Disney World, when you start with the, all-star sports, all-star movies, and then you do Art of Animation and Pop Century, then you get to the moderate resorts and then the deluxe, you have so many options that you can kind of go by your price range, which is why we usually stay in the resorts that are more affordable, that we can find deals, because there's so many different options we can pick from.
Are you ready for this? The Disneyland Hotel, if you want to stay in the Adventureland suite, 2 bedrooms, It holds up to 5 adults. It is 2 king beds, 1 day bed, right? It's kind of not that much space. For 2 nights, it's $11,000.
Holy cow.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't want to sound like a cheapskate, and then I'm just like hounding on prices, but that's a lot of scratch, man.
That is a whole lot of money.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I feel like in some ways I kind of have champagne taste. Like I really want to do things that are really nice that I
In
only.
some ways.
Oh, well, I don't know.
Put
Like I
your
really.
fancy hat back on.
Yeah, zip. I really want to do nice things and I want to own nice things. Like I want things that are of good quality, but I I don't know. Like for me personally, I had a really really good time when we stayed in Coronado Springs. I had an equally good time when we stayed at Pop Century.
It was so fun.
And for me, it's like those 2 trips are kind of just sort of one and the same to me as far as the quality of the trip went.
Right. The
It has,
quality of the overall trip was
yeah,
the same.
like I liked Coronado Springs better. I liked that we stayed in the Grand Destino Tower and that we didn't have to walk through a Rubik's Cube to get down to the terrible little cafeteria. But it was still a Disney trip and there was still
Right.
bus transportation.
Right.
So, I mean, if you can do it, like if you can swing these things, by all means, swing these things. But I'm just not willing to fork out the money for it.
Yeah, I get it.
All right, hit me with some honorable mentions. Things
So-
that like maybe these aren't like hugely expensive things. Like this isn't going to be your $50,000 thing, but maybe it's something like you want to do or want to buy,
Right.
but it's just not worth your money.
Well, no, these are things. These for me are not honorable mentions.
Oh,
These are things that are a little bit more expensive, but I actually will probably do them.
oh. So then, can I have a free pass on the ones that I wrote down, and just buy them? 'Cause I'm
No,
going to.
no.
Oh,
So
we'll see.
one of these is the Wild Africa Trek. And if you're not familiar with this is another tour. It's like a VIP tour. And it is like backstage basically of the safari experience with Animal Kingdom. And so it's a 3-hour journey. You go through like a ropes course. You get to see the animals. You have a personal guide there. There's different photo opportunities. There's food. And so this experience is actually, where was the price here? I think it was $199. Yeah, $199 per person, which is a lot of money. Like that is a big expense if you've got a family, especially on top of your Disney trip. But for me, that feels like something I would actually save up for and do. Especially if our kids were a little bit older, if they were like teenagers, I feel like this would be something that would be totally worth it for me to do, even though it's $200 per person and it's a 3-hour experience, but it just seems so worth it. The next thing that I would do, and I actually have done before, is another Run Disney event, and these can be really expensive. So I was just looking at the Walt Disney World Marathon prices for January, the one that's coming up. The registration is not opened yet, but for the half marathon, which is what I did in the past, that one's like $213. If you want to do the Dopey Challenge, which is running all of the runs, that's $660. Now that is a lot of money to run a 5K, a 10K, a half, a
But
full.
that's the one I run every time.
Yeah, you're such a runner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm trying to convince Steven to do a Run Disney event with me. He does not like to participate or partake in cardio activities.
I'll partake in those good bananas at the finish line, though.
Yeah. And I'll talk about my Run Disney experience on another episode. But to me, that is so worth it, is paying for those Run Disney experiences. And then I would love to do one of the sunrise yoga events like they've done for the Princess Half Marathon or the marathon. So I think that would be really cool. And then the last one, which Steven and I have actually talked about, and we're going to have to just save up and do this one day with our kids, is stay at Aulani in Hawaii.
Yes.
This one, the pricing is pretty similar to what we were talking about, not forking out for the Polynesian or the Animal Kingdom Lodge or something. But like an ocean view averages at about $774 a night. A partial ocean view is like $659 a night. Now, the difference being you're not leaving this hotel to go to a theme park.
Yeah, exactly. The resort is the vacation.
Experience.
Yep.
Right. So going to the pool, eating at the hotel, it's all right there. Like, it's staying in the hotel, looking out at the ocean, being in Hawaii. Just that feels like more realistic than paying so much money to be in a park all day and only sleep in a hotel room.
Yeah.
Whereas with Aulani, that's the whole thing.
Yeah, we're
like
gonna
the hotel is the vacation.
We're definitely gonna do this one year. We were actually gonna do it for our 5-year anniversary, but then COVID was like, "What's up, guys? It's me, COVID." So we didn't do that.
That's right.
But yeah, we are like 100% gonna do this someday, and we're probably gonna take our kids, even though like it seems like kind of a couple-y thing to do. But yeah,
I think it seems very family friendly.
Yeah, and I've never. What's funny is that you grew up on the East Coast. I grew up in California, and so you've been to Hawaii and I haven't.
Yep.
Which is, I mean, I guess it's not that funny, but
it was a really long flight. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's really. I don't know why I said it's funny. It's not.
Well, it was just like twice as far for me to go from here than it would be for you to go.
This will be my first time in Hawaii, and I'm fairly confident that Disney's going to do it in a way where I'll be happy. And I'm also fairly confident that it's not going to be obnoxiously Disney, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, I didn't even go to Hawaii. I just went to a Disney resort. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We will do it, even though it's expensive. But again, going to Hawaii is expensive.
Right.
So for me, it's like, it's the same thing. It doesn't really.
Yeah, it's like going to a resort in Mexico or an all-inclusive place, or going down to Florida or something. If you were going to the beach, you would pay for a nice hotel.
But here's what we're going to do.
You go to the beach and you go swimming.
Because I don't really want to do that flight from the East Coast to the West Coast and then drive down to Hawaii. But fly down to Hawaii. What we're going to do is we're going to fly into LAX, spend like a day or two in Disneyland, and then go down. Probably not, but that'd be fun.
We've just added a decent amount of money onto that trip.
Okay, so here's my thing, and I'm fairly confident we're going to do this in our October trip. I have always really wanted to do a dining package with the show. And the Rose and Crown in Epcot, they have a dining package for Harmonious. And it's listen, it's definitely a little bit more expensive. It's $89 per person, $39 for kids 3 to 7, I think. 3 to 9, excuse me. But here's the thing, it's inclusive of taxing and gratuity. And you get an appetizer, an entree, a dessert platter, and unlimited beverages, including, I think, alcoholic beverages. And the Rose and Crown has good ales. So I would love to do this, and I think I might try to make it happen for our next trip. It's a little bit of a luxury, but I think it'd be a lot of fun. And I've always wanted to do this.
Yeah, I agree. Some of these, you pay a little bit of a surcharge to really make sure that the experience is what you're expecting. And when you have certain expectations for things and being able to see certain shows, I think it is really worth it. But it's one of those things for us that we'll have to see how this trip goes, because our daughter will be so little that we'll have to see, how late are we willing to stay out to see Harmonious. But it is something that we will prioritize in one of our next few trips. Just depending on what we can work out.
You heard it here first. Change of plans live on the show. Okay, these ones are kind of silly. I'm going to talk about a more like one that's like more realistic, and then one that's shooting for the stars. Okay, so I'm going to wrap these up quickly. I would love to own more legacy lightsabers. I have the Reforged Luke Skywalker lightsaber. They're about $150 a piece.
Yes, you do.
Give or take. I would love to have all of them. Like, I actually walked in to our room today and was like, if I had more money, like right now, I would go get Rey's legacy lightsaber.
He said those exact words to me this morning.
Like, yeah. I want Darth Vader's. I want Kylo Ren, Ben Solo's, like Luke's. I want them all.
I want Han Solo's lightsaber.
He doesn't have one.
I was just being funny because he's my favorite character.
So that could add up, and eventually I could get those a little bit at a time here and there. But I would love to do that. And then the final thing is, I want that $25,000 life-size custom astromech unit R2D2.
Perfect.
But I'm never gonna pay $25,000.
We'll put it right here in our basement.
But from like Sideshow Collectibles, I can get a $7,000 R2D2 that's life-size. He just doesn't move around. So those are not gonna happen. But I would like to have those.
There you go. So if we had all the money in the world, there you go.
Just like that movie
Those
with
are your
Christopher
little-
Plummer.
Yes. Perfect.
Okay.
Well, that was fun.
That was fun, yeah. So anyway, listen, like this was all of these things are just in good fun. Like if you have the means to do these things, like by all means, have a blast, live your life, and do it up. These are just things that like we just are not personally willing to spend the money on. So that's just kind of our take. So thank you so much for listening. We're going to wrap it all up here. As always, you can find us at the Parks Academy pod.com. We have blog posts, content, stuff like that. You can follow us at the Parks Academy on Instagram. We're also on Facebook. And if you feel so inclined, you can support the show on Patreon, join the community, get access to early content, bonus feeds, things like that. Tell your friends, if you could, please and thank you, give us a little rating or something like that on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It really helps out, helps us become more discoverable, and is very much appreciated. Thank you again, like I said, to everyone who listens, supports the show, pays attention. We really appreciate it. And with that, we will catch you next time.